Hi, Dr. Siegfried here. Today I'm going to be talking about whole food nutrition. Try to give you a little bit of a history relative to the concept, what you can do at home, and going forward relative to this whole industry, because it's a very big industry. Whether it's the organic, quote-unquote, organic food industry or the quote-unquote supplement industry, where people are spending, some people say, up to $20 billion a year on supplements. The whole food or the organic food industry is increasing up to 20 to 30% a year. It's become a huge market, a huge industry, a very confusing market, a very confusing industry. And what I'll try to do is give you a little perspective on what it was like before and what we have now. Prior to let's say 1900, everything was pretty much organic. There was no such thing as commercial. There was very little, if any, commercial fertilizers. Very little processed food. Most of it was fermented or dried or eaten as picked. And then at the turn of the 19th century, we came up with we have what's called the Food and Drug Law, which was put together by the federal government, FDA, Food and Drug Administration, as it's known. And that really confused things because the definition of organic, natural, etc. became their definition. And you could use the term natural for things that were actually synthetic. You could use natural for things that were made in a chemistry lab. In fact, all you have to do is look at a bottle of supplements these days, and you can see that a supplement that says natural on it, or organic, it says it on the front of the label, but if you turn to the back of the label, you can see that, for example, it might say ascorbic acid, which is a chemical. And so as such, it's a toxin, and as such, the body has to make use of it, has to get rid of it. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to get rid of symptoms for a while, but drugs do that as well. So the question always is it nourishing you or not? Well, in the food industry, so that was that. The FDA pretty much, the history of the Food and Drug Act, they pretty much defined the food industry and the supplement industry back in 1905. Okay, so then around 1920s, anywhere from 1915 to the 1930s, there was a massive amount of research that was being done on whole foods because the concept of vitamins and minerals came into the picture. And what happened was the concept of organic foods came in, and then it got into farming. And in the farming industry, the petrochemicals, namely the chemicals that are used today, started to come into use. And so the question of natural versus synthetic came up, and the question was, is something that's raised organically, is that as good as something that's raised commercially? Organically meaning no pesticides, no commercial fertilizers, no treatments, etc., versus things that were just grown using commercial fertilizers, which could be anything from nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. There's all these different chemical fertilizers that are used. And then, of course, the foods can be treated as well. So during that time, there was a tremendous amount of research that was being done relative to organic farming versus commercial farming, organic supplements versus commercial or synthetic supplements. And so now we've morphed into this area today where the U.S. Department of Agriculture has taken over the description or the definition of the term organic, and it can mean anything. In fact, the definition of organic, according to the National Organic Program, is that organic can mean 95% organic material, which means no chemicals, fertilizers, etc. But the other 5% can be different types of chemical, pesticides, commercial things. So it's kind of like an oxymoron these days. And the bottom line is for you as a consumer is that you got to know where your food is coming from, who makes it, how is it made. You also have to know where your supplements are coming from, who makes it, how do they process them, where do they get there, where do they source it from, etc. Because fruits, vegetables, all kinds of foods that we eat are coming from all over the world now. And the regulations differ in different parts of the world. For example, China, they have no organic, China has no organic certification or anything else, so they can call it whatever they want, and we send it over here and we get it. And Alibaba is a huge sourcer for material coming from China. So as a consumer, you have to know what you're consuming is, in the sense of where's it coming from, how's it produced, how's it processed. A professor of mine back in the 70s in our biochemistry class used to say, if you don't bite it off at the ground, you better be careful, because that's where the process begins. But even so, now you have to know what's in the ground. Is it genetically engineered, et cetera, et cetera. So as a consumer, you have to have your antennas up all the time. Where did my food come from? What's been done to it from the time it was in the field to the time I get it? How long has it been sitting around? What's the shelf life? As far as supplements, where do they come from? Who's the company? Is it organic? Is it natural? Is it synthetic? Is it a whole food concentrate? These are all issues that you have to be thinking about. But in a nutshell, here's the deal. If something as a food, you want to ask yourself, how fresh is it and what's its shelf life? You want to eat the freshest, unadulterated foods as possible. That's from the food standpoint. From a supplement standpoint, you want to get things that are only whole food concentrates, because those are the foods, those are the supplements that have the highest nutrient density of the vitamins and minerals, which we're supposed to be getting from our foods, but we're not. So you have to be supplementing. So again, from your food standpoint, you want to get it as fresh, unadulterated as possible, prepare it as simply as possible, and from a supplement standpoint, you want organic, natural, whole food concentrates that know as much as you can about them, because like I said, otherwise you're just you could be buying chemicals and it could say on the bottle, natural or organic. So if you like this, I'd appreciate it if you'd send it to one of your friends. I have a free report that says foods versus vitamins, foods that help, foods that hurt. If you'd like to get a copy of it, feel free to give me an email. And if you'd like to pursue it even further, I do nutritional consultations all the time. But in the meantime, keep in mind, with your food and your supplements, your food, where's it come from, what's been done to it, how long has it been sitting around. With your supplements, again, are they whole food concentrates, where do they come from, what's been done to them. Thanks for watching.